Warren Horizon family. We're here with our esteemed professor, Dr. Jahi Issa. This is our brother who is under fire, under the gun for Delaware State University. Has been fired from his job. I will get to him explaining to you exactly why that occurred, and also how this brother is community activist dealing with the fact that there are lynchings going on in Delaware that now is beginning to be uncovered, that he's been going on for a long time. So without any further ado, I want to just go right into the story with brother Dr. Jahi Issa. Could you first tell us how your situation at Delaware State University, the whole situation with you being fired and being arrested, how that started?
Okay, I believe that it has a lot to do with I believe it has to do with somewhat with these lynchings that are going on in the state of Delaware. Mid-February, someone came to me, my office, and brought me a flyer of a man being depicted as lynching. I immediately went into the community and started investigating it.
Could you tell them what the flyer said?
The flyer said we're cleaning the state. We're cleaning our streets one nigga at a time. Okay. And it depicted a graphic depiction of a black man being lynched.
Okay.
I later found out that the flyer was out in the community late December, early January, and that allegedly the state authorities were investigating it. When I started lecturing on the origins of the civil rights movement and lynchings and the aftermath of the Emmett Till lynching and killing, the students at the university were amazed that I had a primary source, a flyer that was being distributed throughout Delaware depicting someone being lynched. And they took the flyer during my lecture, photographed it, and it went viral. And a day later, I think, the students had a rally asking the state to find out who did this because they feared for their lives and they didn't want to be lynched as black students at a black university. Now, this is one day before the actual protest at Del State that led to my arrest.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know that the protest has somewhat to do with this flyer that had been distributed in the state and no one did anything to try to stop it.
So what was the protest about? Tell us how that happened.
The protest, the students really weren't sure if they were going to do the protest. But the protest was about the corruption at Del State, millions of dollars missing from student funds. And the protest was also about the fact that Del State is, in fact, for the most part, becoming a white college, although it's a historically black college. And the students were demanding, among many things, more African-American faculty, where Del State has less than a 20% African-American faculty rate. Okay. So therefore, most of the faculty members have been what I call ethnically cleansed.
Okay, so they do decide that they are going to do the protest. What happens at the protest?
Well, before it could even get started, the students were about to walk over to the administration building, similar to what the white students did 2 years before. They had a protest with white faculty, and we were at the Martin Luther King Center. We were about to walk over to the. They were about to walk over to the administration building, and I was arrested. I was attacked and arrested, and then.
Now you were assaulted by who?
By the university police officers. I was assaulted by the university police officers.
Bust him out! Bust him out!
Let me see a flyer, yeah? That's it. This is not change. You're the only one
and then put in jail. After I left, they arrested me in the hospital on my emergency bed and put me in jail.
Okay, when they put you in jail, did they make any threats?
Yeah, they forced me to sign some documents that said that I would be banned from the university. Three white men officers approached me and basically said if I didn't do it, they were going to hurt me.
So they threatened you, said they would hurt you if you didn't sign these documents. So of course, you signed the documents to protect your life at the moment.
Originally, I said no. I didn't want to sign anything until my attorney. I got an attorney, but shortly after, these white men started walking to me and walking toward me, and I asked them, "Were you here to hurt me?" And they said yes, and I said, "Okay, I signed it."
Okay, so you signed it under duress. Okay, so after that situation occurred,
the day after that occurred, someone broke into my house and put a packet in my house while my wife was there alone. After I had left, I was on my way to the library with my children, and someone broke in. They entered our house without our acknowledgement and put a packet. In the packet, we called the police. We filed a report. The packet basically said that I'm not to contact any student or faculty member of the university.
okay.
This came from the university.
Okay, so what links your situation and your case? How did you start realizing that this has something to do with the lynchings? How does that happen?
Well, I was at because I was banned from the university, I would go to Silver Lake Park every day, sometimes twice a day, once in the morning to walk, and then in the evening with my kids to play. And this was March the 1st. I was banned. I was there for about 2 months, and she said, "If you come back to this park, don't leave our kids by themselves." And so 2 days later, she called me at midnight because she was at work and said, "I told you so. They lynched a black man at that park." And we looked up, and I realized we went on Google and see if they had publicized it in the newspaper. There was nothing there. And so I immediately, that next morning, I went to my barber and asked him, did he know about this man being lynched? Of course, he said no, because I didn't understand that nobody in the community knew what a lynching was. So I had to say someone who was murdered, who allegedly hung themselves. And my barber told me, yes, that was his cousin. And from there, and he said the person that was killed used to cut my hair. And so from there, I went to the family.
So the gentleman, the lady that we just interviewed, that her son was killed and lynched.
He used to cut my hair.
He used to be your barber.
Yes, when I first moved here.
So you found out that your barber, that you knew that used to cut your hair when you first moved here, had been the guy who had been lynched over in that park.
Yes.
Okay.
And at that time, I was a member of the NAACP. I went and I started interviewing all the people in the community to find out if this was a suicide or a lynching. And from the beginning, I believed it was a lynching, but I wanted to find out. And I asked the family, I met the family, I talked to some of the other people in the community, and everybody said this was not the type of guy who would kill himself. And so I called one of my friends, had someone to contact a paralegal to talk to the family about helping them find some legal help on the situation.
Okay.
And
since that time,
I let the NAACP know. I called the national and the state offices of the NAACP. They refused to help. I called the national office of the SELC, Dr. King's organization. They refused to help. I also went to several black politicians in the state and religious leaders. They all refused to get involved with it.
So since that time, where you thought about this lynching, have you found out anything more about lynchings in Delaware?
The Henry Fordham is the godson of a lady that I know, and she called me that morning because she was, in the beginning, she was with me in trying to investigate this, but she backed out of it because she said it was too much. And the very statement I said to her is that if we don't do something now, they may come after your son. And her very comments were, they're not going to come after my son. Well, they came after her godson. Also, the university sent a document stating that they would drop all the charges, and if part of the document basically had a statement somewhat to the effect that if I take responsibility for the flyer that was put out months before I even knew about it. And of course I said no. They sent it through Beau Biden's Attorney General's office. And of course I said no, I would never do that.
Have you reached out to Beau Biden's office, the Attorney General for Delaware, and asked that they investigate this any further?
Yes, there's a man that you're going to talk to. From what I understand, I accompanied them to the Attorney General's office. I didn't go inside. I wanted to stay outside and watch. And from what I understand is that the Attorney General's office, Beau Biden, the Vice President's son, Beau Biden Jr., office refused to accept this complaint, an official affidavit in which they are required by law to accept it.
Now, last question I want to ask you. So you were fired from the university. What was the justification for firing you from the university?
The justification for me being fired was that I allegedly touched an officer, caused a riot, and a few other misdemeanors that I pleaded not guilty to.
Okay. Since the time that this situation occurred, have you faced any harassment?
Yes, plenty.
Okay. And
my phones have been tapped. My Google phone has been hacked. Someone came into my house several times and took jump drives, documents. All my emails are censored. My emails have been hacked. They've taken emails from me. When I talk to various leaders around the country, the phone drops or they will buzz it out to the point where you don't understand what's going on. I'm constantly followed constantly by state. I know some of them are state, some of them I don't know if they're contractors, but I'm constantly being trailed in the state.
And just to co-sign it, I can say we went to see the brother at Howard University, and we can confirm the brother was essentially attacked and threatened while we were at Howard University.
Yep.
I was there, so I can personally attest to the fact that this did occur. We were quite surprised when that happened. Is there anything else that you want to say in terms of people understanding what's going on here in Delaware and with your situation, so that the world can know that something needs to be done about this situation?
Yeah, it's very serious. Like I said, I think that partially one of the reasons why they came down on me hard on March the 1st at Delaware State is because I'm thinking that they may have thought the students were coming up to talk about the lynchings. And I think since they knew that I lectured on lynchings and I was investigating lynchings in the state, that they felt that this was a way to quiet me up, to silence me, in which I refuse to be silenced. This is real. This is the vice president's hometown, and this is the last place that you think that where this should happen. And what I'm saying is that the public should get involved and find a way to bring this to an end, that the murders should be properly investigated, and the attempted murders, and most definitely I should get my job back. Because I was only doing what any good professor would do, a professor of history.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, brother.
All right, thank you.
Stay strong. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
All right.